Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Mindful Marathon Conversations. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Quirk. I'm a pediatrician and a run coach and the founder of Mindful Marathon, where I help make running easy and fun for busy professionals. And today I'm really excited. I have a super special guest with me. I have Dr. Rino Dizon. He is a family medicine physician and a runner, and he's got an amazing story. So I want to welcome him to the show.
Hi, hey, Dr. Quirks. Nice to be here, and thanks for inviting me and welcoming to your space.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into all the running stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And so, yeah, I think that running definitely is something that has become a lifestyle, and definitely has been part of sort of a habit that I've kept up. And I didn't get into running until after college. And for folks that maybe in your audience that could recall when on where you were when 9/11 happened. And so at that time, I wasn't thinking about medicine. I was deep into research, and having just graduated at UC Davis in 2001, and going into postgraduate research. 3 months later when 9/11 happened, sort of putting the pipette down and just sort of listening to the radio at the time. And I recall at that moment my health wasn't the best either. I haven't just graduated college, and I'd put on I was over definitely overweight, and wasn't healthy and keeping that a healthy routine in terms of exercise. And so fast forward when that happened, it was sort of a transformative event for me. It sort of uh, uh, allowed me to figure out and repurpose where I was in my life, and to figure out what I could do to help. And just so that I could sort of paint that picture of how it looked like in my neck of the woods, when that all went down, it was a certain sense of unity and sort of patriotism and camaraderie amongst the folks in Davis and folks in Sacramento, and there was like American flags everywhere, which really warmed my heart. And I think when there's tragedy like that, it really unites folks. And coming from a military household, I was really always respectful for what America provided for my family of immigrants coming from the Philippines. And this opportunity for a different way of life here in the States. And so I've always felt obligated deep down that paying back somehow to this country was what I should think about. And so thinking about 9/11, thinking about what my purpose would be, I really thought about science and taking care of people as as my purpose. And so I really told my I told the principal investigator that, hey, I think I'm switching careers here. and then really took into studying for the MCATs, and I got into the Air Force. And 10 years later, in 2011, I was able to be boots on the ground in Afghanistan. And during that transitionary period, that decade, I was really getting into fitness, running. I'd lost 70 pounds. I was really taking and holding myself accountable to my health, because it was important for me to be healthy, to take care of the folks that I envisioned of helping in the future. And so yeah, running has become something that I've really allowed me to first transform how do I build resilience, and how do I focus, and then how do I maintain a healthy weight and sort of balance. And so yeah, so this is where I'm at. And so I think when I think about it, this purpose and purpose of running, it's been very transformative, and it all stems back from that those early days of when 9/11 happened. And
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that you weren't always a runner. So I think that I have that assumption still about runners, because I was not always a runner. But yeah. I think it's interesting when you come to it a little bit later than maybe someone who was running track or cross country or something in school. But yeah,
Yeah. I
the
always wondered
reasons are
why people
different.
ran. Oh, I always wonder why people ran. I'm like, wow, that must be boring. And, yeah. And then so, because, there's always something else like basketball or just,
Mhm.
uh, anyways.
Yeah, yeah. And
Like,
so now, I mean, you have run quite a number of races, and you run a lot of long distances. Do you have
yeah.
do you have like a favorite, I don't know, a favorite running memory or favorite race so far?
Yeah, yeah. So going back to Afghanistan, that was my first marathon, and so working with the physicians there and sort of the troops, it was basically 7 days a week. We'd work and work out, and do it again. And so my favorite memory is the Boston Athletic Association reached out to the troops there and said if he would be interested in running a shadow run when the Boston marathon was happening here, we'd run the one in
Oh,
Afghanistan. And
that's
so,
really cool.
yeah, and so we all sort of said, hey, why not? It's life's short. And so we all trained as best we could in the desert and
Wow.
on treadmills, which
Oh.
sure was rough. And so, yeah, anyways, that was my favorite memory. And so we finished that. That was my first marathon. And
Mhm.
when I got home stateside, Boston reached out to me, and so they said, "Hey, we still have that free ticket for you to come out and race." And so I never did qualify, and so I want to put that out there too. I'm not the fastest, and so I was really thankful to be able to be invited to that space, and that was my favorite memory, just that first marathon and how it led to this, and sort of
Mhm.
run 2 marathons on average a year now since that time.
And your beautiful Big Sur marathon, that's on my list for sure.
Oh yeah, that's definitely for folks that are here on your audience, yeah, definitely something to check out. Even if it's not a PR event for sure. It's definitely take photos and enjoy the breeze and just the camaraderie. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful coastline. We've driven it a lot of times and keep going back. So but that's a story for another day.
Oh yeah, you got to share that too. All right.
Now, how do you, you're a busy physician, and a parent, and you've got a lot going on. How do you fit running into your busy schedule?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I have to make time for it, just like any routine or habit. Um, and so the way I approach it is finding, because I prioritize my family,
Mhm.
and so being present for them is super important to me. And so when it's early in the morning, most people are asleep, and so important for me to make sure that I spend time with them during their waking hours. I make sure that I get the run in the morning, and so it's sort of been a habit since then. It's one of those things, sort of like it feels sort of weird if you don't do it. I'm
Mhm.
at that point where it's like, it's sort of feel a little off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I balance it that way, and so yeah, I just try to plan it out, and if I'm human too, so there's moments you're like, I don't know, today for reals, and it's raining. But I just don't second guess it. I just say, yeah, it's worth it. Let's get out there and check it out.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's hard if you don't have that habit set up yet. It's hard to see
Hmm.
past like how do I, get out of bed or off the couch, tie on the sneakers and go. It's hard. But after I think I don't know, in my experience working with newer athletes, like 2-3 weeks of doing something, maybe
Yeah,
like 3-4 times a week, it doesn't actually take that long to get it established. And then you start to feel a little bit off if you don't have it.
absolutely. And then in my early days when I was doing this weight loss focus, when I was getting ready for the military, I would wear my running shorts to bed. And so like I would wake up and be like, I was ready to go. And like, my shoes were like, at my door. And I was like, yeah, I'm
Yep.
already half dressed.
There you go. Yeah. My tip is like I don't sleep in it, but put it right like on the nightstand or like
Yeah,
right next to me. So you pretty much fall out of bed and like put the running clothes on and then you can
exactly.
get out
Yeah,
the
just
door.
keep it simple.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, we both, we've talked about this a little bit. We both work with residents. I think you work with
Yeah.
residents probably a lot more than I do on the day-to-day, but I have, several residents who work with me who are, trying to keep up a pretty hectic schedule and
Yeah.
then work in running. How can we frame this for them, for our trainees, and taking maybe a wellness perspective of it?
Yeah, absolutely. You could get sort of, and I see the adult learners, these residents, sort of go through it, and have gone through that too. I recognize the struggles of residency, and so yeah, I think first, I think just sort of reflecting on what's important, and making sure that their own wellness is intact, whether it be their mind first, and then their body, or vice versa. I think making sure that maintaining that mind, body, and then that spirit of why you're doing this to begin with, super important. So just a check in and a reflection, I think it's super important and helpful. And I think that once you take sort of a collection of that, or an audit, so to speak, an audit of where you're at, then you'd say then, okay, what could I do now in this moment to make that small tested change, or make a difference in my day to day. And I think looking at also then, what is that goal, and is that goal really to be that physician, which is a coach too to other patients. How would I be able to reflect those ideals best if I've not experienced it myself? And so whatever that is, whatever that jam is, that could get you into that wellness space, I think that it's sort of, the patients will also see that as a reflection. And so um, I know that's a very vague answer, because everyone's different in how they're approached, but I think really a moment of reflection, and taking an audit of where you're at in terms of your mind, body, and spirit, and then really seeing what you could do that's a simple low-lying fruit, so to speak, to tackle,
Mhm.
and then really use that as a momentum, and then really focusing on that goal. Really, our passion is to take care of patients, and we have to be we have to ensure that we're well enough to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking as you're speaking, I'm thinking about when I was a resident and I was not a runner back then, but I just remember being so tired all the time. Like I don't know how I would have done it. But I think even a regular walk routine at that point would have been really good for me. And I just never really got there. Like it was after residency, and I had sort of this moment where I was talking to a family about fitness and an exercise routine and taking care of themselves, and getting enough sleep. And like here I was standing there like, I am saying all these things and I'm not doing any of them. This is terrible. Like I'm not doing this. So that's like sort of the impetus to change that I had. But that
Yeah,
was like right after my residency and my first job.
no, I get it. And sometimes it can happen after residency, because during the moment it's really hard to balance it all.
Yeah.
And and I know the ACMG GME has made some progress, I think.
Since I
Uh,
was a resident, yes.
yeah, right.
Let's
So
hope.
yeah. So it's been I think important changes, and really focusing on the wellness piece, um, because yeah, it is a marathon too in this career, right? It's really keeping pace with sort of the workload as
Yeah.
best as possible.
Yeah, for sure. But I certainly, yeah, I feel much better able to, yeah, coach my teens and families, and like try to get the whole family on board with this whole fitness thing now that I'm like a
Yeah,
living example of it. It's I
oh,
don't feel
that's
like I'm
fantastic.
lying and reading it out of some book. Like this is what they say we should be doing.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. No, that's great. I'm gonna,
Yeah. But it's hard. It's hard. And I really
yeah,
admire these, the residents who have signed up for half marathons and marathons,
Yeah.
and they're like getting in this training, and I'm not sure I would have been able to do that when I was a resident. So go them.
No, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. If you have the bandwidth and you feel that, taking again an audit of where you're at, and it seems to, yeah, I think just knowing where you're at and getting help if you need it too. I think that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love everything. Well, did we talk about at least some of the things? We might have to do a part two.
Okay. I am yeah, I will make space and time, and that's all that's the truest commodity is our time. And so yeah, I definitely it's worth our time to really hopefully inspire and reach out to other folks that this might resonate with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, tell everybody where they can find you if they'd like to connect, or yeah, want to chat running or wellness and all the things.
Yeah, so my eldest daughter, she made me understand what Instagram was. Because in the residency, the social media thing is something that is new to me too, right? And and so yeah, people can reach me on the Instagram now. I guess my daughter helps me with my handle. That's what
Mhm,
they say. And
mhm.
so it'd be R Dizon one. You could reach me out there. You could also reach me out at our, and I'll put it on. I guess I'll ask her if she could help me put it on. Where our residency is found here in Sacramento. It's through this Greater Sacramento Family Medicine Residency Program. So the folks could reach me out there too. They tend to put a lot of messages out there. And yeah, I'm around. And if folks are interested, I could send them my email too. I'm happy to
You
do
know
that.
what I'll do? I'll leave your links in the bottom, like in the little description too, so that they can just click the site and
Oh
Instagram
yeah,
too. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we got
absolutely.
it. We got it. I'll put them in there.
Yeah,
Love it.
absolutely. Yeah, no, and yeah, I'd be happy to help. And also just, if folks want to talk more about, you know, anything that we talked about here, I'd be happy to speak
Yeah.
out.
I will just say too that social media can be an interesting place, but we met
Yeah.
because you reached out to me on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
And how amazing is that?
No,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. And I want to let folks know that you're an amazing person to put in the time and the effort to do this, and to also help me think about doing that CME that we were hoping to do too. And I know that that takes a lot of time and dedication. So I want to give you your kudos and sort of shout out because what
oh,
you're doing here is amazing.
oh, thank you. Well, I really I appreciate your support and kind words, and I'm so glad you sent me that message many months ago.
Yeah,
All
no,
right,
absolutely.
everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I'll leave these links below, and we will catch you on the next episode. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. If you liked it, please subscribe and share it with a friend. And if you are a newer runner or a runner who hasn't run in a while and you're looking to get back into the sport, you can find out how to work with me over on my website, which is mindful-marathon.com. See you on the next episode.